Hello, this is Lucas with Devops Point, and today I'll be making the first video in a series where we'll cover unit testing Node.js projects with Jest. In this video, we'll cover just a bare bones Node project, setting it up, and adding Jest. In the description of this video, you'll find links to sources to the documentation of everything we use. I will also share a link to the repository where you'll find all this code, and I'll continue to use this repo in the future as the series progresses. So I'll also tag the specific links for the specific tags for this video, just in case you're watching it in the future. With that, let's get into it. All right, to start out, we're going to create first our directory where we'll put our project, and I'm going to call it Just Testing. And I'm going to move into that directory. And once you're there, run npm init to initialize your project. This will ask you a series of questions. I'm going to keep a lot of these at default, so the name, the version, description, we don't need that right now. Entry point can stay the same. The testing command, I will set that to Jest, because we'll use that next. Get repository, we don't have one. Keywords, we don't have one. You can put your name here if you would like, and license can stay the same. It's going to ask you to confirm. Type yes to confirm, and it should be done. This will create a package.json file in your project. And right now, there won't be anything too interesting in here because it's only the information we just filled out. But we will see a change once we install a dependency. So next, let's install our Jest dependency. And you'll notice that we're running npm install --save--dev Jest. And the reason why this is important here is because this will save this dependency as a dev dependency only, meaning it will not be packaged along with your code for production. This is very important because you don't need all those testing libraries. You're not just going to use Jest. You're probably going to have many other things that are only needed for local development or when building the application or transpiling the application later on if you're using TypeScript or any of those libraries. So whenever you're building your application, keep in mind that if you're bringing in a dependency that's only for when you're doing development, to have that flag. It's very important. We're going to run this. This will take some time, so I'm going to fast forward the video here. All right, so that finished, and if you list out your directory again, you'll notice that there's a few new things. Obviously, we have our node modules directory. That is where our dependencies get installed. This is actually where you'll find all the all the Jest code that we just installed. So that all goes in here. Package lock, this is actually just a locked version file. So basically anything that you install into your project will then be saved here so that if you put this in your project and you try to build it in a different location, let's say you have a team of developers and the different developers trying to run the project as well, they will also get the same version that's being used by the rest of the team. And more importantly, if you're doing this in the CI environment, the CI environment will also pull in the same versions that were used during development, which is very important to make sure that behavior stays the same. If you print out that package.json file again, you notice that it changed a little bit from before. We actually have a dev dependency section now that only lists Jest as the dependency we have right now. All right, next we're going to create the files that we're going to use for testing. I'm going to create an index.js file. This is where we're going to put the code that we'll be testing. This will be dummy code for now. I want to be using Vim just because it's very small code and very quickly I can add this in. So I'm going to create a function. I'm going to call it greeting. It's not going to take in any parameters. It'll be very simple and just returns. Actually, I don't even need that. Don't need that. Just need to say hello. And there you go. Very simple. Not much to it. And I'm going to export this. There you go. Very simple, just for testing purposes, very dummy code right now. And next we're going to create a test for that file. We're going to call it index.test.js. And here we're going to actually import that code that we just created. So we want to import that greeting method or that greeting function that we just created. So for that, we're going to say const greeting. is equal to require ./index. Actually, just importing that from the index.js file. And you don't need the .js here. It will automatically figure that out for you. Next, we're going to create our test. Tests are going to always start with the test method. The very first parameter is going to be a description of your test. So I'm going to say should return hello world. And the second parameter is actually your code for the test. Put some code in here. And this is going to be very simple because the code we're testing right now is very simple, just to see the test run. So we're going to expect greeting to be hello world. Should be able to close this out now and run our tests by typing npm test. So this will run the just command that we saved as our test command, and you'll see it's going to run our test, should return hello world, and it passes. Now, it's very good practice to always make sure that your tests are able to fail. Make sure you didn't hard code anything, and make sure that you're actually testing your code. It's very easy to make a test that doesn't actually test anything, and you realize that only when you actually break something in your application. So I'm going to quickly make a small change here just to cause it to fail. Very small change. I'm just going to make this a lowercase w instead. And run the test again. Should get a quick failure. There you go. And this will tell you really quickly, it expected to see hello world all with an uppercase here in the W, and it received hello world with the lowercase. And it'll even highlight the specific section that was wrong, tell you which test, where in the code it is, and exactly the expectation that failed. That should help you whenever you do find a real test failure in your project. You can quickly go to that specific location and see what's going on. In this case, I'll change this back and run it again. We'll see that it passes. All right, and that's it for this video. I will take this project and expand on it some more in the coming videos, but this has been setting up a Node.js project, very simple with just testing.